friends, it's video time again. Bit of a change of venue for the intro to this week's video. I am planning on filming a small writing vlog, nothing too fancy, wee bit of work on this idea that I have, mostly just planning. We'll get into that, I'll talk about it in a bit. However, there are currently 3 very loud construction workers putting up scaffolding and just generally shouting at each other directly outside my living room window, which is about 7 to 10 feet away from the desk that I will be working at. So although I am back from my very chilly morning walk, I've had my breakfast, I'm ready to start, we're gonna have to postpone filming. So I thought I would do the intro for now and then I'm gonna crack on with what I usually do on a Sunday, which is catching up with anime and cleaning in between. And then I will come back later when these guys have pissed off and we can finally start the video properly. I wonder if I should go tell them that it's Sunday. Maybe no one told them that it's Sunday. Why are they doing this on a Sunday? Hello, hi. It is much later. In fact, it is the next evening. So the construction workers, they were there all day, and by the time they left, I felt like someone had been beating me in the head for about 8 hours. So there was no writing happening. And then I had work today, and now some lights that I'd hung have now collapsed directly across my desk. And I have to fix those, and I can't be bothered, and I really didn't want to film this video now, but we're gonna do it. I have told myself I am going to film this video if it kills me, so we're going to do like half an hour of writing. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it is that I'm doing, and that's going to be it. And this video might be like 10 minutes long, and that's okay because I just need to post something. So let's just cut to a shot of me doing some writing. Okay, great success. I have actually written something. I mean, it's more planning than writing, but we'll get to this. So let's just talk a little bit about what I'm doing and why. So if you watched my newbie tag video, you would maybe have heard me speak about how I always wanted to be an author. From when I was like 5 or 6 years old, that was when I wrote my first book. It was literally as soon as I knew how to write, I wrote my first book. It was called The Storm and Other Stories because I read a lot of Enid Blyton, or was read a lot of Enid Blyton by my parents when I was younger. All her story collections are something something and other stories. So that's where I got my inspiration. I barely remember. I know that The Storm, I think there was a lightning strike which hit a tree and there was some treasure in it. These stories were like 1 or 2 sentences and then I would draw a little picture. There was also one about a man whose trousers would go missing every night when he took them off, and he would have to go and find them like all around the world the next day, which, my man, get yourself some new trousers. Those are not serving your purpose. But I wrote a book. Anyway, that's the point. At 5 or 6 years old, I wrote a book, and that is the only book that I have ever finished. The problem is that I had a talent for writing, and English and just kind of academics in general. I was pretty good at. Like, I was constantly being praised, and it led to a mindset where I was terrified to not be praised, especially for something like my writing, which had become just this thing that I was so proud of, that I had this talent, that I was gifted, that my writing was so good. Like, even now I really struggle with even constructive criticism. When I was at uni and I got my essays back, I would look at the grades and that was it. I did not want to hear, if the grade was good, I did not want to hear anything about how it could have been better. Like, no, No thank you. My fragile ego, it can't handle that. And obviously parents and teachers, they think that they are being kind and trying to prepare you for the world. You know, they talk about how it's hard to make money as an author and you need a real job as well. So as soon as I was old enough to be self-conscious, I was self-conscious about my writing, but despite all this, I somehow still had the impression that it was all going to come together one day, that somehow I was going to have the right idea, because obviously if it's difficult to write it, it's the wrong idea, because the right idea will just flow down your arm and onto the page without any visible effort from yourself. So one day I would find the right idea and I would be the next J.K. Rowling. I was absolutely sure of it. Her name is even similar to my name. I was like, yep, I'm going to be you one day. I assumed that because I was smart and because people told me that I was talented and that I had a talent for writing, that was just going to carry me through and that I wouldn't really need to do any actual work. And obviously that's completely untrue, because being a writer involves so much work and so much baring of your soul and just being vulnerable and needing to take constructive criticism, all things that I was just really not good at. So the older that I got, the more it just felt like this was a bit of a pipe dream, that it was never really going to happen, or if it was going to be one day, it was going to be in the future, someday, when I finally got my shit together. But we all know that someday never comes. When you say someday, you mean never. But occasionally I would still get ideas. I have one that I've been carrying about for about 10 years and I'm almost too scared to try and write it. But I had one at the end of last year, around about just before I started BookTube, so about September time. I had this idea, and if you're a creative type person, then you maybe know the feeling when an idea comes to you just so strongly. So I was vaguely inspired for this by the founder of Diabolism, Dongwa. As you know, Heaven's Official Blessing, Obsessed, etc, etc. So this series is an adaptation of another one of her web novels, and I watched it and I wasn't incredibly blown away by it. And I don't know if anyone else does this, but sometimes if you're not really wowed by a story that you expected to be, you start thinking of how to fix it. So I was kind of thinking to myself, oh, how would I fix that story? And then I went to bed and I woke up the next morning with this story, like, complete in my head. And I was just typing furiously into the notes app on my phone, lying in bed, just trying to get it all out. And for the next few days I was consumed by it. I could not think of anything else. I kept having ideas, they were all churning over. And then I started BookTube and I decided that I really wanted to commit to this. I wanted to commit to making videos every week. And so I put that on the back burner, but I don't want this to be another thing that I just leave. I'm not entirely sure that this is even something that I would want to pursue to like publishing or anything. I would love to actually write a story for once. I've had so many ideas, I've started so many, I enjoy writing, and yet I've just never managed to complete even a zero draft. Quite ironically, for how much I hate romance, the main story, or the main idea that I had is not necessarily a romance, but it's a love story. I am playing about with maybe a wider sort of magic-based plot, but the main idea that I had was this love story between these two characters, and I was so excited for it because these characters came to me in a way that characters just never have before. I've had a concept, but these two, they came to me as fully realised people, and I love them so much that I really care about them and I want to show how they find their redemption in each other. So at the moment, all I'm really doing is kind of world building and brain dumping and just trying to figure out, do I just write it as a straight up love story, or do I try to flesh it out and make a wider conflict around that? Should I just keep it simple and just try and write this one bit that came to me really strongly? So I'm playing with different ideas. I haven't really done much world building. I have a little bit of history just in how it plays into the actual main relationship, because it is a male-male relationship and it's really formed by the prejudices and opinions of this world that they live in. But that's all I'm really doing, is just trying to kind of touch it a little bit now and then, just make sure it's not dead, make sure it's still alive, keep it warm. I have signed up for a creative writing class at the University of Glasgow, which is an evening class which starts in April, so I'm quite excited for that, just to kind of get the juices flowing and get me writing again, even if it's just a little bit here and there. I wouldn't expect too much writing content on this channel for now, but this is just a little bit of a bullet point, a little bit of a statement by myself, for myself, to say that this is something that I do want to spend time on, and it is still important to me, even if it's not something that I can dedicate a lot of time to just now. So that is going to be it for this video. It has been extremely chaotic to film. I have no idea what the actual video is going to turn out like. I think it's going to be very short. If you've watched it, thank you. I would maybe recommend going to watch some of my other videos to get a better idea of what my channel is actually about. But thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye!